Hello, you are watching a modified version of this video. When uploading the original, there was a claim of copyright infringement. Jump forward to around 11 minutes in order to learn more and hear the story. Hello, in this movie we will look at the multi-level harmonic sequence in the introduction to Jean Sibelius' Valse Triste, Opus 44. This slow introduction is set for string section only. The opening 40 measures contain a fascinating multi-level harmonic sequence. In it we find the essential keys of the piece as intermediate tonic chords. There are several characteristic elements that I will discuss in this tutorial. The Valse Triste by Sibelius is 202 measures long. It is a slow waltz with a key area around the main theme, which is in G major. There are sections with transitory character in the closely related E minor key. The coda moves to the parallel G minor key. We will see how these keys are first touched upon in the clever and efficient introduction. This diagram presents an overview of the intermediate keys in the introduction, measures 1 to 40. This section is divided into two identical parts that form the global level of the harmonic sequence. We notice an upward shift of a semitone, with the target key moving from G major to A flat major. This is notated as a sequence with chromatic root cycle R-I, using somewhat modified Schillinger symbols. At the local level we find four pairs of diatonically related keys. Through a root movement of an ascending minor third, we changed from a minor to the relative major key, as can be seen in pairs such as F sharp minor to A major, E minor to G major, etc. This pattern is copied in the second half of the introduction. From the A major key we move towards E minor, a root cycle R-5. Alternatively, we might say that the minor-major key pair is locally transposed to a major second below, since we move from F sharp minor to E minor. At the center of the diagram we see the three main keys of this piece: G major, with its neighbors the relative E minor and the parallel minor key G minor. At the end of the sequence we reach the key of A flat major, which is the tonic on the lowered second degree, also known as the Neapolitan chord. This has dominant function and returns to the main tonic G major through a 5-1 cadence, using the D dominant 7th chord. At the local level, the root movements are characterized by negative diatonic root cycles R-3, R-5 and R-7. These contribute to an inconclusive floating harmonic mood. Let's write these intermediate key tonic chords in staff notation as shown here. The multi-level harmonic sequence is shown with root cycle symbols below the staff. At the global level of this framework we see the chromatically ascending semitone sequence. At the local level we find the four diatonically related minor-major pairs with root cycle R-3. Two of such pairs are connected through an R-7 root cycle, an ascending leap of a diatonic 7th, or equivalently a major second down. Let's play the sequence of intermediate tonic chords that concludes with a semitone shift to the main key of G major. Next, we will look in more detail at the first half of the global harmonic sequence. We will study the chord progression in the first section, measures 9 to 24. Again, we will use a diagram that shows the local scale degrees, chord types and root cycles, with generic labels shown on the left. The key centers of the first section are the four local tonics F sharp minor, A major, E minor and G major. These are the two pairs of related minor major keys. Note the dominance of diatonic and negative root cycles as we move through these four keys. We see 2 ascending thirds and 1 ascending fifth. We may follow the yellow arrows in the upper half to see the full set of chords. This part includes 3 dominant tonic cadences with positive root cycles are 5, 5 to 1. The first local tonic, F sharp minor, actually is never reached since there is a 5 to 4 minor deceptive cadence at the start. The key moves from major to the parallel key of G minor at the start of the next section, in measure 25. Here is the reduced chord progression of this first half of the global sequence, with the actual 4-part voice leading shown. It helps to illustrate more characteristic aspects of this fascinating introduction. At the end we see the target key with tonic chord G major in root position. We recognize the 3 dominant tonic cadences reaching the local key centers A major, E minor and G major. There is the opening deceptive cadence G sharp half diminished to C sharp dominant 7th to B minor, the 4th degree of the local key F sharp minor. The upper part will return in the lead melody. Both this and the bass part contain a number of stepwise ascending patterns. We find closing contrary motion between the outer parts, one with chromatically descending lead voice. Finally, the voice leading is dominated by stepwise motion. Dissonant intervals, such as the flat 5 in the half diminished and diminished 7th chord, or the chordal function 7, are both resolved by descending stepwise motion, with one exception in measure 4 to 5, where the resolution from D to C sharp is transferred to the next lower part. Let's listen to this chord progression, played here as whole notes. In this introduction, we may identify additional characteristic elements. Later in the piece we hear flute, clarinet, 2 horns and timpani, but in the introduction the instrumentation is for strings only. They are playing with mutes. The lead melody, with sustained notes in mostly stepwise motion, is for first violins and cello, playing in parallel octaves. The contrabasses play pizzicato throughout. The middle parts change from plucked to bowed playing technique. And finally, we find many appoggiaturas in the middle parts, an aspect I will now illustrate with an example. Here is the condensed score of measures 9 to 13, the opening measures of the first section of the global sequence, with the local key pair F sharp minor and A major. The actual melody is shown in the upper part, a set of sustained notes with ascending stepwise motion. I have labeled the appoggiaturas on the second beats in the middle parts. These occur as either single or double appoggiaturas. We find the descending chordal functions 9 to 1, 6 to 5 or 4 to 3. Let's listen to the tension-raising effect of these continuously used patterns. Note the dissonant second interval clashes with the lead part. And now it's time to listen to the complete opening of the Valse Triste in a MIDI mock-up rendering. I will stop the example when the piece picks up speed at the start of the real waltz. Strings are playing concertino. I've marked the full score in order to help recognize the previously discussed aspects. This part with the audio example has been modified by me in this updated release. When uploading the original, there was a YouTube message on behalf of AdSense. The excerpt from the Valse Triste is a likely copyright infringement. The consequence of publishing this video is that there will be automatic advertisements and that all revenues will go to the copyright owner. Also, my YouTube channel might be blocked. That made me decide to upload an edited version. There is a small group of subscribers to this channel. The numbers of views make it clear that there is no revenue to be made. I prefer the channel to be free of product commercials and ads. I have no sponsors, obviously. To be clear, I do value copyright protection. Making a living from musical creativity is a challenge, so respecting authorship and performing rights is obligatory. Apparently, the artificial intelligence software or the human reviewer was triggered by this fragment in the tutorial. To my defense, I state that the purpose of these videos is to share my enthusiasm, provide music education tools and composition techniques. It is a niche product, unsuitable for music consumption. These tutorials take many hours to produce. There is an episode script, I prepare graphics, text and voiceover, annotated scores, audio examples, which then are put together and edited in video software. When using external information, I do refer to the source in a scientific manner, naming author, title and year of publication. In this specific case, I do state just before the example that this is an annotated reduced score fragment and that I reproduce the audio with a string sample library. At the end, I recommend to study the full score and listen to a real performance. There is no intended commercial use, and I am not aware of doing damage to the Sibelius legacy or any other composer or musician. Being misunderstood and handling disappointment has become second nature. Still, however, this experience makes me sad and throw in the towel. Let me know in the comments how you feel about this. In summary, when I was analyzing the piece a while ago, I got fascinated by this harmonic sequence. I will never know whether it was a convenient coincidence or clever design by Jean Sibelius. Studying the chord progression in more detail, I could identify the multi-level sequential character, which I wanted to share with you here. At the local level, the key centers are connected through diatonic negative root cycles. On a global scale, there is a chromatic sequence at work. In this introduction, we encounter other elements, such as the stepwise character of the lead melody and the frequent use of appoggiaturas in the middle parts. A detailed analysis of the full composition may be found in my ebook on musical analysis, available for purchase in the webshop on my site. And of course, I do recommend to study the full score of the Valse Triste and listen to a performance of this melancholic masterpiece. We've come to the conclusion of this movie. First-time viewers, please subscribe to my channel. Like and share these video tutorials. On my website you will find additional content and a donation button for supporting my efforts. Thanks for watching and I hope you'll be back next time. Bye bye.